I'm Kate Joel, and this is Comic Smack, your weekly, daily, all the time, anytime comic show where I give you your fix of everything you need to know from the world of comic books and superheroes. And on today's show, we are taking a closer look at Action Comics number 1000, a landmark watershed moment in the history of the Man of Steel, complete with about a dozen truly amazing variant covers, some of which I'm showing you right now. I'm a fan of the Clay Man cover myself, that's the one I got. Now, this big anniversary issue is also an anthology story wherein some of the best and brightest writers and artists have all shown up to, do their part to mark the major Superman occasion. I'm not going to cover every story, but I'll cover what I feel are the most important ones and just the ones I liked. First up, we have a story from Dan Jurgens, which is fitting because this is his book after all. We see Superman banish a group of aliens who are going to try and invade Earth on the same day the people of Metropolis are throwing a giant Superman-themed celebration. Clark doesn't want to go because he hates being the center of attention, but slowly but surely, when people start telling their stories about how the Big Blue Boy Scout touched their lives, in many cases saved their lives completely, he starts to warm up to the whole thing. Superboy John Kent is especially taken with the story of an ex-con that his dad helped get back on track just by listening to him all the times he busted him for petty crimes. In the end, Superman believes that the city is under attack and flies away to try and save it, only for Wonder Woman to meet him off at the pass and say, no worries, the Justice League had this one. In fact, they had it all day repelling the aliens. You see, the League wanted to thank Superman for all the good work he does for them and everyone else, and so they had Martian Manhunter block his senses so he wouldn't know about the impending doom, so he could just have a day to himself. And you know what? Then all the other heroes show up to honor Superman. Even Deathstroke's happy for him. Also, yeah, why is Deathstroke there and why is Deathstroke happy for Superman? The next story I'll talk about comes from Peter J. Tomasi, which is pretty fitting considering that his own Superman run is ending today also. This is something of a time-traveling epic wherein Vandal Savage weaponizes hypertime and sends Superman on a journey through some of the greatest moments of his career. This is also an opportunity for Patrick Gleason to show what an amazing artistic chameleon he is, rendering some of Superman's greatest moments. We see him fighting gangsters, stopping trains, duking it out with supervillains, and every image itself is an awesome reference. In the end, Superman defeats Vandal Savage, gets home, and everyone's super happy for him. Now, the next story is probably my favorite. It might also be the shortest and the most simple. It's called The Car, and it tells the story of the gangster who was driving the famous car that Superman is holding up on the cover of Action Comics number 1. Superman comes to the guy in his wonderfully retro costume and says that he's at a fork in the road right now and only he can decide what direction his life will take. Superman hopes that he'll mend his ways in soon, if only so he doesn't have to hoist him over his head again. Pretty good trade, if you ask me. Now, Scott Snyder has a story in this book too. Surprisingly, it chooses to shine a light on the boyhood relationship of Lex Luthor and young Clark Kent. Lex and Superman also take something of a trip through time, and we're told of a story when boy Clark Kent actually saved boy Lex Luthor from blowing himself up when doing a dangerous experiment in Smallville. Tom King has a story in his collection, and brace yourself, I actually enjoyed this one. It's a wonderfully outside-the-box story wherein a much older Superman returns to Earth to visit the grave of his parents. Did I mention he does so on the day that Earth is going to be destroyed? All life is seemingly dead on the planet, and this is just Superman honoring his heritage. But of course, the big daddy of them all, the one that I'm sure everyone is the most interested in, and the one that I was alluding to in the title of this video, I'm talking about Brian Michael Bendis' addition to Superman. His story is called The Truth, and it opens up with Superman getting his ass kicked all across Metropolis. Two diner waitresses pull our hero out of the rubble, and all they can do is talk about his red trunks. Oh yeah, those are back now, and this is the first story to actually make reference to it. One of the ladies loves the trunks, the other one not so much, so pretty much the fan base as it stands right now. Now, who could possibly be so powerful as to manhandle Superman? Well, it's revealed to be this horrifying alien monstrosity here. He goes by the name Rogol Zar? I think I'm saying that right. It's probably not a good idea to have your big new premier villain have a name that I trip over, but for simplicity's sake, let's just call him Zar from here on out. Zar, as we discover, has come to Earth to not only pick a fight with Superman, but Kara the Supergirl as well. In fact, Zar calls her Superman's cousin sister. Oh man, I don't know from what part of Kansas he thinks they hail, but that ain't right. Yeah, Zar hates all Kryptonians, and he vows to cleanse them all off the face of the universe single-handedly. handedly why he even says that he knew Jor-El before the destruction of Krypton. And that's because, wait for it, Zar was the one who destroyed Krypton. Dun dun dun! And if that sounds a lot like Superman Earth 1 to you, well, you're not alone. So yeah, that was Action Comics number 1000, everybody. It was a mixed bag, but ultimately I would say I enjoyed pretty much everything I read from this. The art was absolutely on point. It's clear they spared no expense. And I feel that a lot of the images here are going to live with us for a long time now. It was also pretty clever to have Jurgens open the book and Bendis close it, kind of in a torch-passing moment. How do I feel about where he seems to be taking the story? You know, it's got its pros and its cons. I don't know if we really needed to retcon Krypton's history so soon after we had a whole story where Superman traveled back in time to see its destruction. But, you know, Bendis gonna Bendis, so I guess we just have to live with it for now. Overall, while not perfect, I thought it was a very satisfactory Centennial issue, some really good stories in here. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. So that was Action Comics, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, be sure to take a closer look at some of these other videos I've been working on. Then you can follow me on social media at Cape Joel, so you're always up to date on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you like what I do and are feeling in a supportive mood, please check out my Patreon link down in the description. Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. So until next time, everyone, this has been Cape Joel. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you all again later. Bye-bye.